Welcome back. Have you ever heard the phrase, do it scared? This is the key. Most people think that confidence means not feeling nervous. And if you're not able to feel calm, that you're going to fail. And I disagree with that. Confidence means knowing what to do. And on the SAT, there are some very, very concrete things that you can do to help your students know what to do. Beautiful thing about the SAT is, and the ACT, is that, and yes, this applies to both of them, is that it is predictable. And what you can do for your students to help them be in a really great mindset the day of is help them understand that the SAT and the ACT are their own unique things. They are testing skills that they learned in school, but they do them in their own unique ways. So getting familiar with exactly how they do that is going to really boost your scores, your students' performance. And it will also give them confidence. And the confidence is that they know, okay, this is a vocabulary question. I know that there is evidence in the text that will help me create a prediction word for the vocabulary question, right? That's a strategy. When I get to a vocabulary question, I am going to look for evidence. It's okay if I don't know the word, I can create a really good guess. Or if I come to a question and I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, then I can take a moment and remember, okay, first thing I got to do is understand the question. So I can do that. What does the question mean? Maybe I rephrase it in my own words. And then from there, that's an anchor point. What are these anchor points that you can give your students? Read the question carefully. That's a really good one. I can do that, right? That's something that a student can do, that's in their control. If students come across a question, this is a big one. Let's say you come across a question and it's really starting to take some, it's just not making sense and it's taking a lot of time. Students who are able to say, hey, this isn't worth my time. There are other questions that I can get right. I can flag this on the Blue Book app for the SAT. You can flag it. ACT, you can also mark your questions, or, on paper it would look a little different, maybe circling it. And come back to this because my time is valuable and I can use that to get points. And that's a positive headspace, right? To say, you know what, I'm in control of how I use my time. I know there's going to be some questions that are not worth it, and I can tell because I'm spending an excess amount of time. And they can come back to those questions. They can use process of elimination, another good one for them to get into their head, and come back and guess, make an informed guess, or maybe by the time they get back, they have some extra time to noodle through it and figure it out. So confidence is all about having a process. If this happens, then I have these options. If I get anxious, I can listen to 3 sounds and feel 2 feelings on my body and let myself come back into my body. Or I can do some box breathing. If I am spending too long on a question, I can mark it and come back. If I am starting to feel frenzied, I can remind myself to take it one question at a time by reading the question carefully, highlighting and underlining. That's an active thing they can do to focus back. I can guess strategically. On math, these are things like knowing, okay, I can plug in the answers if there's numbers in the answer choices. I have different techniques I can use, right? On math, for example, as well, I can create an estimate. Or if there's an image, then they can use the diagram to maybe create an estimate. Or I could plug in a number if the answers are variables, right? Or can I use Desmos? Big one right there. Can I use Desmos? And for so many questions, the answer is yes. Desmos is the name of the calculator, in case you're not familiar. And trust your approach. This is something that students can very much practice. Okay, I'm just going to come back to trusting that I know things, and I'm just going to keep trying. Even top students hit questions they've never seen before or they don't know. And if they have the ability to remind themselves, okay, this is why I'm here, I'm going to spend this much time on it, and I'm going to start by looking at the question, making sure I understand what it's asking, and then go one step at a time, then I have a real big chance at getting it right. So our goal isn't necessarily fearless students. It's students who know what to do next. They can do it scared. A lot of things are scary, right? And it's not necessarily that it's a real danger. It's just our body saying, hey, you need extra energy right now. And that can be a actually really helpful for your students. That focus, right? Our body's trying to give us what we need in a moment. But if we can show them how to channel that into these techniques, then that focus becomes a superpower on the test. So confidence is knowing what to do. It's having these strategies that you've practiced and that are burned into your brain. Eliminate wrong answer choices through process of elimination. Oh, I can mark and return if questions are taking too long. I can guess strategically. On math, I can maybe try plugging in a random number to help get me a better sense of the question. I could plug in the answer choices. I can use my calculator. And I will also say the base of all of this is familiarity with the test. Being the kind of person who's done some, hopefully more than just a couple, practice questions and really looked at the SAT or the ACT as tests as a whole and has started getting familiar with them. You know, they test the same things every time, and sometimes you'll get some questions and not others, right? But there's only a certain amount of topics that they test. So as your students get more and more familiar with these tests and what they how they're going to present questions and how they present wrong answer choices, you're going to see a huge boost in confidence and in accuracy. Ooh, one more bonus thing is during test prep itself, really important strategy is when I answer a question wrong, I immediately look at why I got it wrong and how I could have gotten it right. Because that's the difference between getting that question wrong every time and next time you do it, getting the question right, even if it looks slightly different, right? Because they've learned the concept. So that's key thing for your students to learn. And one way you could do that is during advisory period, really hammering that home. Every time you do a practice question and somebody gets it wrong, you say, well, great, this is an opportunity to learn. Let's look at how we could get it right. So that students start getting in this habit of when they do practice questions that they actually look at the questions they got wrong and learn how to do them correctly, because that's where the points are living that they aren't yet getting. So thank you. I hope this served you, and I'll see you next time.